Hello everybody and welcome to section 2.5 from our textbook. The topic in this particular section is markup and discount problems. One of the most basic things that we have to recognize before we get started with anything is that there's a little bit of confusion when it comes to many students' minds between what we mean by cost and what we mean by selling price. Because we actually mean two different things. When we think of cost in a casual way, the way we use the term when we ask, well, how much does that thing cost? We really want to know what price the store is selling them for. Right? So the cost is the price. When we say cost mathematically, we mean the price the business pays for the product, while the selling price is the price that the consumer pays. So we want to make sure that we make a little bit of a differentiation. A really good example of this, let's just mark this out. Let's say that a retailer, your local retailer where you buy men's socks, right? The retailer sells the socks at, buys the socks for $2.50. All right, cost here is $2.50 per pair. $2.50 per pair. Let me get my pen working here. Good Lord. Okay, it's $2.50 per pair. Right? When they sell them, right? When you see them on the shelves, they rewrite that price because, of course, they're interested in running their store and making a little bit of profit to do that. So let's say they go to the shelf and they write $3.99 per pair. Right? If we say that we refer to as the selling price. It's a small distinction, but it is an important one. Because whenever we think about how we're going to deal with what's called markup, right, we're looking for that difference. And what is markup? Well, markup is the difference between the selling price and the cost, that is, the retailer cost. We call that the markup. Now, there's a rate that is being added to this product, and so we call this rate the markup rate. Well, how do we figure out what that markup rate is? Well, let's go with our problem since we're on it. Our retailer is buying these socks at $2.50 per pair, but we are paying the price of $3.99 per pair. What's our markup? Well, the markup is easy, right? We're going to say that the markup, and I'm going to write a formula right here, the markup cost is used this way. We say that the selling price, pardon me, let me rewrite this here. If we want to find out what the selling price is, the selling price is equal to the cost to the retailer plus the markup. Okay? So our selling price is equal to the cost plus the markup. Okay? So in our particular case, where our retailer is selling these socks at $3.99, that's the selling price, and the cost is $2.50 per pair, there's some markup being added right here. So if we wanted to find out what that markup was, well, we're just going to take a subtraction, say $3.99, subtract that $2.50 in this particular case, and we see that the markup is actually $1.49 when we do the subtraction. Now you can pause and verify that for yourself. $3.99 equals $2.50 plus our markup of $1.49 that's been added per pair of socks. So what do we do next? Well, when we talk about the markup rate, the markup is equal to some rate times the original cost. Right, so we take whatever the markup rate, R is referred to as our markup rate. And so right here in our particular case, we know that our markup was $1.49. And there's some percentage rate that's being multiplied by our cost of 250 to get that. So what is the markup rate? Well, we do a division. We can say that our rate is going to be equal to $1.49 divided by 250. And I've done my division already, but you may want to pause and just as an exercise, go through and do this division longhand to see that you can get it. I've worked it out. My answer, 0.596. And so if I work this out as a percentage, that means our markup rate, expressed as a percentage, is 59.6%. So there's a 59.6% markup rate over the original cost. And this is what we refer to as markup rate. More in the next section.